All right, this is Ben from Radio UTD. I'm here interviewing SOHMI at It'll Do in Dallas. For your first time here, how's it been?
It'll do. No, I'm just kidding. I know. It's terrible. I'm so corny. The coffee hasn't kicked in yet. Well, I think we were just chatting about this, but it's super charming so far. It's my first time here. I didn't know what to expect, but the venue was so kind as to put me up at the Magnolia Hotel downtown, and that was just a great spot because it's right in the middle of a bunch of stuff. Like I walk out of my hotel room and there's cool things to see and do and eat and drink. So that gave me a great first impression of Dallas so far. Even if it's a very limited sample size of information.
Have you been in Texas before?
I have been in Texas before. The only other place I've been to is Austin, but I was there in November of last year for a SOHMI dance event.
Nice.
Which is really super cool house and techno festival. And then, before that, it was, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago for a college girlfriend's bachelorette party. So
nice.
Those are my 2 other Texas experiences.
So, have you had Whataburger?
Okay, it's funny you should ask me about Whataburger. I don't know what the deal is with Whataburger. I don't know if the reputation is that it's supposed to be amazing or bad. But I was talking to someone today who's from Dallas, and she was like, whatever you do at the food court that I was telling you about, the exchange place, she's like, whatever you do, just don't get the Whataburger. I didn't ask
maybe not at the exchange place, but it's kind of like I guess it's kind of like a Texas classic in a sense.
Is it?
It's supposed to be good.
Okay, so it's not a Dallas.
It's not a Dallas specific thing. Okay. Although I can see why they might recommend you not get the exchange version. Maybe it's worse. Right. I think Whataburger is more kind of it's open 24/7.
Oh, okay. Well, that's special.
It's
that's good.
It's special to a lot of people.
Yes.
It's midnight, go to the Whataburger,
it's
get
your
the
dependable
specialty.
friend. Yeah, it's come through for you many a night when nobody else did.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So that is the vibe.
Okay, well,
Although I will say, I've seen some people make the mistake before. You definitely don't just order a regular burger.
Okay,
they have the specialty burgers.
Maybe that's the problem. So what are you supposed to get at Whataburger?
I think a big classic is the patty melt.
Okay.
And then otherwise the honey barbecue chicken strip sandwich.
And I have to ask, how are the French fries there? Because I'm a big French fry person.
The funny thing is, I feel like they're different. Although, to be fair, in my opinion, I feel like fries just differ from branch to branch.
Yeah, which is why I asked, how are the French fries? Oh, you're saying
even within the restaurant.
Oh, really?
I really feel like it.
See, that to me is a problem with the brand then, because they need to find a way to establish that consistency.
Although I will give you that any In-N-Out I've been to, the fries are definitely just terrible.
Yeah, they taste like cardboard chips. But
I think the Whataburger fries are fine. They're
they're better than In-N-Out.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
If you think of McDonald's fries,
I was going to say those are my guilty favorites.
Those are the best ones. Yeah. They're a little bit under that.
Oh, okay. Hey.
And obviously, depending on the spot, you might get a little bit mixed results.
Right.
But on the general, I think it's below there.
I love this food review we're doing. I like this. This is I honestly I love food a lot, and I don't want to call myself a foodie because I feel like that's a little. I don't know, but I do love food. I love talking about food and consuming food. So I'm having fun. And I want French fries now. Great.
Yeah, Whataburger's open 24/7.
So after my set.
After the set. That's what I'm doing.
Maybe we take a group field trip to Whataburger.
Yeah. Field trip to Whataburger.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's really a curse for me. I've been having to fix my diet because I live across the street from a Whataburger.
Oh, well,
So, I'll get home from, work or
school, whatever, library.
And it's, 2. And I'm like, I do have leftovers in the fridge, but Whataburger is also there.
And it would come out hot.
Yeah.
And not cold.
Yeah. Speaking of things you might not call yourself, in a very big pivot, I think in a previous interview, you said that you wouldn't exactly call yourself a house or a techno DJ in particular.
Yeah.
And I've listened to some of your tracks. I get the vibe.
Yeah.
You know, it's a different vibe. You have a lot of different, you know, sound influences in there, a lot of different mix-ups.
How would you? Okay, now I'm flipping the things on
flip
you.
the script.
Yeah, I'm curious. Well, because I've come to think of it, I've never asked an interviewer this, but what does the vibe sound like to you? If not, you know, straight house or straight techno.
You know, it's really weird to me. Just like as much as I've listened to, just about like 2 hours, which I still feel like it's not enough.
Wow,
but,
I'm flattered. 2 hours is far too long. I'm so sorry. You deserve Whataburger.
I mean, I like it. It's good. It's good music. It's good for a reason. But the weird thing is, it strikes me at like an angle right between that kind of house and techno vibe.
Yeah.
But also like an electronica lo-fi vibe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And kind of like that pop kind of vibe as well.
Right.
It strikes like right in the middle.
Kind of
so
in the middle of it all.
There's like you're either like wanting to just kind of chill or you're wanting to act straight move. Just straight be moving.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well,
so what do you think actually on that front? Who do you imagine when you imagine somebody that listens to your music?
Wow, I like that question. I don't know if I've gotten that exact question before.
If we're not going to ascribe you to a genre, then who's the kind of guy and gal and non-binary pal that's out there spinning your tunes?
You know, spinning my tunes, or just enjoying them. Like, who do I think would be drawn to them?
Yeah.
I feel like sensitive souls.
Sensitive souls.
Yeah, I do. Like, I feel that, you know, people who maybe are, I mean, I don't want to say like in touch with their feelings, as if to say that fans of other dance music are not people in touch with their feelings. But, you know, I just think that, I tend to find that the people who seem to like my music, they seem very like comfortable with vulnerability. And I say that because, and maybe it's like sort of self-selecting, but like the kinds of people who reach out to me directly to just even a DM or whatever to say like, hey, I just want you to know like how much, you know, this recent song or whatever that you put out like moved me or had some kind of impact on me, or I was just going through like a breakup or something and this just really hit the spot and I cried all day but it healed me. Like I'm like, you know what I mean? That's what I mean by like, I think sensitive people, sensitive souls who are just very receiving of the sound. And then, and I'm, yeah, it's like I'm able to know because they're also the ones who then give me that feedback. Right. So yeah.
It's fair enough.
Yeah, like, I think like deeply emotional people. Yeah. If that's not too broad.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Just continuing on the trend of sequels to things I've seen in your other interviews. I think you said that when you went to Coachella back in I think 2016, 2017 something.
Yeah, I went 2016 for the first time, then I went again 2017, 18, 19. I went every year until COVID shut it down, you know. Yeah. But then, you know, when things reopened, I was invited to come back as an artist, so that was cool.
Yeah, and I think what is it? You said that it was one of the things that inspired you to be an artist.
Yeah.
What was it like to go there as an artist? Now that we're past that event.
In a weird way, it kind of felt like, and you're going to experience this soon because you're at that threshold, but like, it kind of felt like going back to your alma mater and like, but like, okay, you say that with like, I don't know how to, you know, interpret that tone, but in a good way. Like I felt like, and maybe this is just because I've been to Coachella so many times. Like I know the lay of the land, you know? So in that sense, it just felt like, oh my gosh, I'm coming back to this familiar place where, like a very formative place for me. Mm-hmm. So in that way, it felt like alma mater-ish. I
get the feel.
Yeah. Okay. Like would I feel that way about being invited to play at any other festival? Probably not if I haven't been there before, you know? Mm-hmm. Like if, you know, I were to be invited to play at Tomorrowland or something, I'd probably just be extremely overwhelmed, you know, because I've never been there. I don't know the lay of the land. It's huge. Coachella, though,
it's home.
It's home. Yeah, really. Yeah, that's how it felt. So it was a very like warm feeling. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I guess just curious, how was the pivot for you to go into making the SOHMI act?
Yeah.
I guess because I think. You had gone to LA, you had dropped everything, gone to LA for the tech job.
Yeah.
And now here we are, a few years later. We're at a club in Dallas. You're about to put on a banger set.
Yeah, I don't know that I've mentally made that transition yet, to be honest. I don't know, like, like if that's like, good to say or not, but like obviously in terms of going through the motions and doing the work, like I've made the transition, right? Like that's sort of like why I'm here, I would assume, is the work that I've put in. And so I've made the transition functionally, but mentally, I think it's going to take me a little longer to catch up, honestly. Yeah. It's I like, it's a very out of body experience, like even as I'm here, I feel like I'm here just like early at the club, like
Yeah.
because I'm here to like go watch some other headliner, like I don't feel like I'm gonna be standing in there in like, I don't know, 4 hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think just because I got into this a little bit later in life and I had really like a full life outside of DJing, I wasn't some child star. This isn't like the only life I've known. This isn't the only identity I've had. It's like, yeah, it's not as that easy to kind of make that switch or feel like, oh yeah, this is just my reality now, right? So it's wild, but
still settling in.
It's absolutely
like, wow, I'm here.
absolutely still settling in, and who knows how long it'll take before I fully made that transition. But I think every show I play, like, it gets a little better,
It's a little better.
Yeah, I find a little bit more.
You build up like the percentage of DJ in your soul.
Yes, exactly, or self-convincing, or whatever it is, right? Like that tank gets filled up a little bit more each time with every set, every show. So we're getting there.
What do you think most inspires your sets? Music generally.
That's another good question. It's a couple things. Like, one of the things that really inspires me or motivates me, is just, I don't know. I have this, and maybe this is tied to the previous question of like, has it settled in for you, or like, do you feel like comfortable with your reality, or like, how's the transition been? And I feel like I have so much to do still in terms of like proving myself. And so that really drives me. Like with every set, I feel like I'm just really trying to like prove myself again. And I don't even know if it's for other people, like I don't feel like I necessarily have to like prove myself for them, but I think it's for myself. Yeah. So for me, when I sort of curate my tracks and think about like the music I want to play for a set, it's kind of like putting together a puzzle, if that's how my brain processes it anyway. And maybe that's the side of my brain that's sort of analytical, and the former software engineer in me or whatever. But like, yeah, it's like every track to me is a piece of the puzzle, and a 2-hour set is the whole puzzle. And I'm trying to like fit these pieces together that are gonna like come together, make the whole. And like, weirdly, like I'm obsessed with solving that puzzle like over and over again. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like, why do we like to do puzzles, right? Like, and after you finish one, like, why would you ever start another one? It's kind of like, what? Like, you just finished one, but there's something about the act of like solving one of those things that's just satisfying, So that's kind of how I feel about my sets and how I kind of choose
it sounds like your coder has just kind of kept going through the whole time.
I think that is like subconsciously, like that.
Because I mean that sounds a lot like coding, right? You're just like, okay, we got to figure out this function. We got to figure out how it interacts with everything else, and how it all fits together.
Totally.
But now it's just like, how do these songs interact, and how do they flow, and how does it work?
Right, and then the amazing thing though is that like, in solving a music problem like this, you're not only thinking about sort of tangible outcomes like revenue or like user growth or like new subscribers. You get to worry about metrics like emotional vibes, right? Or like,
it's a vibe check.
Yeah.
Literally.
Like, how cool is that? Like, I get to solve problems where like the thing that you're measuring, is was that emotional enough? or like, was that moving enough of a set? You know, were there enough high moments, low moments, like were people dancing enough? And you know, those are the metrics, and that's just so cool. Yeah. So I don't know if that answered the question, but those are some of the things that.
I think you did.
Yeah.
Everybody has their answer.
Totally. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, that's probably the most like kind of analytical answer I've given. Like, and I realize I haven't mentioned like, I don't know, the love of the music itself in any of it, but you know, to me that's a given. Like I think about the kind of music that I crave and want to listen to when I'm out. And sometimes you get that, you know, depending on which DJ you go and see, and sometimes you don't. And every time I leave a set, or you know, feeling like I didn't really like that, didn't really do it for me, that drives me to be like, I'm gonna just have to do it for myself the next time I play, you know, and kind of like fulfill my own like craving of whatever it was that I was trying to hear, you know.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like this set, it wasn't anything. I got this.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, that I don't know if it's you know that exact attitude that's you know driving it, but it's just the feeling of like, oh man, you know, that didn't quite you know hit the spot in the way that I was like hoping, but it gives me something to chase. You know, it gives me a reason to be like, let me see if I can figure out like what that sound is that I was hoping to hear that I didn't quite get. You know, what is it in my head that is like that I think I want that like isn't tangible or perceivable until it's perceived by one of your senses, which in this case would be like your hearing, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you think the chase ever ends? How long do you think you'll be doing this?
You know, from the perspective of like loving your job forever, I hope that the chase never ends. You know, like I hope that like I don't ever get tired of like solving these puzzles, because like, well, if I do, then well, I don't know, like right, like well, then will I feel as passionately about what I'm doing? But honestly, like I mean, maybe my brain is like broken, but like I see myself loving these puzzles forever, you know.
Just like old lady SOHMI in 2070,
right?
still
right.
hyping it
I
up.
mean, people love to play poker. You don't play like you don't play like 100 games of poker and decide, you know what, that's about it for me. Like I'm done with the game of poker. I've had it. You know, like I feel like when you like these kinds of systems and puzzles and games, you like them forever because it just tickles your brain in that exact way that works for you, you know. So from that perspective, I see myself loving this craft for a long time, and I feel like I've barely scratched the surface on a technical level as a DJ. You know, I've only been doing this for a couple of years. Like and I come from a classical piano background, so like. To me, it's shocking.
I feel you.
To me, it's shocking that, in fact, that people can have careers doing this professionally, only having practiced the instrument of the mixers, right? Like for 4 years. I mean, you can't become a concert maestro in classical piano only having played for 4 years unless you're a prodigy, right? Like unless you're Mozart. 4 years is not cutting it, you know. Like I mean, people practice for many years before they become even functional at the piano or any classical instrument. You're like, I feel like there's a lot of unexplored like stuff with the CDJs and with the mixer and with the actual technical equipment like of DJing. You know, there's probably so much I haven't tried yet. So I'll be, you know, like then I feel like I'll be preoccupied trying to learn all of that for many years to come too. If that makes sense.
Of course. You know, I guess. Dang. There were two different questions I was thinking of. They're both really good, actually. Well, we'll go one.
I love you. You're like, oh yeah, I had a really good question.
So we'll do one for my boy Marco, who's gonna come here and cover the show as well. So he and a few other people at the station, right? They're upcoming DJs themselves, right?
They also play house and
techno.
They
play house and techno, electronica, trance for some of them.
Cool, yeah.
Eurobeat for some of them. You know, they've got a lot of different things going, and I guess very recently we actually had our own DJ showcase where we set up some speakers, we set up a table outside, and we just had DJs playing their sets.
That's awesome.
And having a great time.
Yeah.
And I guess. You know, you said that you're still just going to be exploring this for many years to come. But do you think you have any advice for those, the DJ at home, sitting there with the pirated Ableton Live and chilling with the mixer from Goodwill?
Yeah, so, this is how I would frame, like, I guess any response to this kind of question. But I would start by asking, like, what's the goal, right, with them? Like, are they, like, is the angle that they want advice because they also want to be professional DJs, producers? Like, what's the goal, I guess?
I guess let's go the angle of a professional.
Okay, like they are aspiring to play at It'll Do someday.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Absolutely.
Wow. I mean, man, there's so much advice spanning the range of interpersonal relationship tips. Let's starting there to industry specific, domain specific knowledge kind of tips to creative kind of how you approach DJing and mixing and tips there, or even tips functionally on how to streamline maybe the track selection process or organization process. There's just so much, but I guess I'll try and stick to the music, DJing, creativity part of it.
Sure.
For this response, and just be you, be yourself. Like, I know that's like cliche, but honestly, like, do not chase trends. Do not succumb to that. Like, I've seen it so much all around me. And I understand it, like I understand the urge to look at something that's working and look at something that seems viable and be like, all right, like I need in on that because there's evidence that this is viable, right? But to me, that's not really being an artist, right? Because if you're here just doing viable things, I mean, to me, that's like, I don't know, you that's a hobby DJ to me, or those are the intentions of someone who haven't quite figured out what their artistry is. There is no artistry behind, I'm just gonna do what's popular. So I would say if you're really serious about this, like you want to be up there someday, like figure out, like, what do you like? Like, forget like if it's viable, forget if other people are doing it, playing it, like what makes you, and just stick to that. Like, drive it home until the cows come home. Like, just never like go astray from that. I mean, the sound that you describe my music to sound like to your ears, and the music that I play, like, I can pretty much say that this is what I've been on since day one. Like, this is how I wanted to sound production-wise from day one. Well, I feel like, I have aspirations of how I want to sound that are probably further out than what my productions sound like today, but they're still within like the spectrum, right? And same with the kind of tracks that I like. Like, I've sort of been loyal to this vision from day one, even when there were times when I felt like, okay, nobody else around me is like playing like this. Am I going to get booked anywhere, right? Because if everybody else who sounds like this is getting booked, how am I going to get booked, And of course, like, you have these worries at first, but, my gut told me, like, it's okay. Just your time will come. It might not be as fast. It might not be, as obvious or whatever, but like your time will come if you are authentic and if you are like loyal to your vision. Like, people will be like attracted to that, Like, I think about the artists that I look up to, and they're so uncompromising in who they are and what they're selling, right? Like what they're pushing, the music, the outfits, the whole vibe, and they're so just like sold on it, and to the point where like you have to be sold because you're like, damn, you're so confident in what you're pushing here. And so I think that's the biggest advice I could give is to be like that.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, I lost the other question. That's fine.
Sorry.
No. It's nothing like that at all. I think it's just kind of like, to be a little bit meta for a second.
Hey, we can get as meta as we
want. When you're just kind of having these kinds of conversations, there's always like pathways to go down. And once you get on one pathway long enough, there's no real going back.
That's true.
There's the forks in the talking road.
Yes.
But I guess I kind of a pivot then is there a set when you felt like you were just the most alive? Just like the most electric, fulfilling set ever?
Yeah. I think it's, for me, it's a tie between two, like clearly two sets that I will never forget. The first one was last year, like September, at the Brooklyn Mirage. Well, so funny enough, both sets were when I was playing support for Boris Brecha. Brecha. I feel like I should know how to pronounce that better, but and I mean, it makes sense, right? Because those were massive shows. He had sold out, the Brooklyn Mirage. He had also sold out. The second show in mind was the more recent one this year at Radius Chicago. So both of those were like similar size. They were like 4,000 to 5,000 capacity. So like already like those were the biggest shows that I had ever like done like this. And it just, man, I don't know if it's like Chicago and New York specific or like Boris Brecha fans specific or what was going on, but man, the energy at those shows was absolutely insane. And
howdy.
I just thought I'd say hi. I'm Chris. I'm playing before you.
Oh my gosh, hi.
Yeah. Hey. Hi.
Stephanie,
Yeah, nice to meet you. You're in LA also, right?
Yeah, so you live in LA?
I do.
So you flew out?
From here. Yeah.
You're from here?
Yeah, I'm from here, but yeah, I live in LA now.
So you also had to fly to Philly?
Yeah.
When did you
I flew in yesterday. Okay. My father's actually here. I'm visiting family. Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, I come back here every few months just to visit family. I do love this venue. It's a great space.
I've been like watching all the videos online that I can find on IG, where they're
No, it's awesome.
And I'm like, I've been dying to like see these in person, and it's so cool.
No, it's a vibe for sure. One of my best friends is the talent bartender too.
Oh, okay.
So,
is that Jeremy?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can't wait to meet him.
Yeah, he's super cool. He lives in San Francisco actually. He won't be here tonight.
Oh, okay.
We work on films and stuff together. So,
Films, huh?
yeah, well, like short films, mostly. But hopefully features eventually.
Very cool.
So you're here for it'll do for a set now, and then the next day you're back to work on the next short film.
Yeah, something like that. I'm gonna stick around and see family and friends for a little bit. I've only been in LA 6 months, so I know Dallas real well.
Okay, well, we'll have to catch up about your review so far of LA in a bit.
Totally. Are you from LA originally?
No, I moved there 6 years ago. But I mean, at this point,
That's home now.
well, yeah, it's home.
I know it takes a little bit.
Do want to say I'm just doing an interview for
yes,
the college radio really quick.
Oh, you're doing YouTube.
I just don't want you
I didn't realize.
I don't want you to be like, oh, I'm being recorded the whole time. Like,
I didn't. Yeah, it doesn't bother me at all.
okay.
No, that's good.
So,
you
I
guys,
mean, if-
I didn't mean to interrupt
No,
you guys.
no.
do
Nah,
your
I mean,
thing.
what are you here for, man? What's your set? What you got for us?
Well, you got to find out. I think playing some good music. I think
Sounds
that's
good.
the deal.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and I'm going
Sounds
back to the
good.
hotel after this to like
Sure,
shower
sure,
and
sure,
stuff,
sure.
and then I'm gonna come back. But I'm gonna try and come back like
Yeah.
a little bit earlier so that I can like I don't want to rush in here at like 11:55 and like run to the booth. Like I'm gonna
No
try and get
worries.
here a bit.
Take your
earlier.
time, do your thing.
Yeah.
I think I got to start here in a second, actually. So.
All right.
Oh,
Nice
that's
to
a
meet you.
vibe.
Nice to
What
meet
is
you.
your name?
I'm Stephanie.
Stephanie.
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
Good to
Cheers,
meet you,
man.
Chris. Of course. I get to interview everybody. tonight.
Everybody,
It's
yeah.
great. It's amazing.
Let's just interview the whole club.
yeah.
Anyway, so what I was saying was just that those are the two that come to mind, and it had to do with, I think, the size of the crowd and also just like their excitement levels. And I have to imagine a big part of that was because they were super excited to see Boris. That guy is just on fire right now. And yeah, like the New York show particularly was mind blowing for me just because that's where I moved to LA from. And that was the last place where I was like, a tech person. And so to come back and get to play at the Mirage was like, just a huge trip.
A few more drops into the DJ tank.
Exactly. And I do remember telling myself, so prior to that, the first time I had been to the Mirage was like November 2019, so like right before the pandemic. And I had gone to go see like a drum code night. So like lots of techno. It was amazing. It was in Avant-Gardner. Like, I don't know if you've been, but like there's like an huge inside room. And then the Mirage that everyone talks about is like the outdoor space. It was in the indoor space, which was perfect for that because it feels like a massive warehouse. So, like industrial techno in there is just like the perfect thing. But I remember and at that point, I was less than a year into like professionally DJing. And I just looked around and was like, okay, you know what? Like the next time I come back to New York, I want to play at the Brooklyn Mirage. Like that's the goal. Like I'm not coming back here until I get booked here. And that was 2 years later. So
fair enough. Fair enough. So, what shows have you got coming on up, friend? I think DC's on the docket.
Yeah, I'm just like trying to think. I'm like, what's coming up? So we have DC next weekend, and then 2 weekends after that, I go to Orlando for the first time for a Skyline Festival, and then like straight from Orlando into a Lightning in a Bottle Festival in California, and then a couple more shows throughout the summer and fall. But those are the three like immediate coming up ones.
I guess this is a good enough time as any to wrap up.
Okay.
Is there anything else you'd like to say, before we head out for now?
Just that it was a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for making the time to chat with me, and hopefully we can get Whataburger after the set tonight.
I'm actually down if you are.
Yeah, we'll see if I'm alive after at 2 a.m.
Hey, Whataburger will make you alive.
That's true.
They have a Dr. Pepper shake on right now.
I don't know if that sounds good or bad, but
It's so funny. It is so funny.
Okay.
It's so sweet.
Oh gosh.
Honestly.
Yeah, I'm a little terrified of that.
But I think if you're gonna come down here and may not be here for a while, you might as well have that experience.
All right. Not no.
I'm wrapping up.
I
Hey,
think we're finishing. Yeah.
one more thing. I guess you can. You mind saying this is SOHMI and you're listening to Radio UTD?
Sure. This is SOHMI, and you're listening to Radio UTD.
And there you go, folks.